All right, we are back on the Sort of Sports podcast. On to episode 11. This episode is basically going to be all NBA because Quinn and I have been doing a lot recently on the Big Salad show. You should go check that out. We've really been covering a lot of bases, but stuff like this, which is my NBA playoff preview / season wrap-up, that's more of a me thing, so that is what this episode is all focused on. There was no episode of the BS, the Big Salad, this week just because Quinn and I were both busy on when we usually record, and I was going to do this anyway, so we just decided not to. I'm assuming we'll be able to do one next week, but I wouldn't be completely shocked if we didn't accomplish that. We're getting really busy here at the end of May, but after this we should be a lot better. So we're going to start out the season wrap-up with the final most watchables. So I did the most watchables every time I did a show about what team was most fun to watch. And the last most watchables is basically like if you were going to rewatch the NBA season, what teams would you want to watch? I don't know why you'd want to rewatch all 82, not 82 games, but, basically 82 games. They only played 72 games, but I'm saying if you rewatch the NBA season, what you would, who would you want to watch? So that is what I'm going to be talking about. Number 5, I put the Denver Nuggets, and this is probably leading towards who my MVP is going to be. Once Murray goes down, they're still interesting because Jokic just steps it up and plays even better. The team was incredibly exciting to watch near the end of the season. They really stepped it up. And I don't really know what else to say. Like, the Nuggets play a very different brand of basketball than most other teams. And Jokic was incredible this year. So that's why they're number 5. Coming in at 4 is the Hornets. With LaMelo being injured for about a month and a half there, it kind of hurts them. But when LaMelo and Bridges are there, it's incredibly exciting. P.J. Washington's great, too. We all know I'm a huge Hornets guy. Gorgeous jerseys, gorgeous court. They're great. Number 3 is the Jazz. Jazz are consistently one of the most watchable teams because they always play very differently with that heavy on defense and quick scoring. Donovan Mitchell was incredible just from an excitement perspective. He's so exciting. And, give Joe Ingles and Jordan Clarkson their due, and Gobert's great defensively. Like, those are fun players to watch. Number 2 is the Suns. A lot of people think they're the most watchable team because that up-paced brand of basketball. And, yeah, I don't know what else to say there. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, they're a great duo. It's fun to watch DeAndre Ayton develop throughout the year, and there's a reason they're one of the best records in the NBA right now. They're a really exciting team. And then at number 1 is the New York Knicks. This team pretty much just became my favorite team the entire season. I have a category later, which is my favorite team from the year. We'll talk about that more later, but there's going to be a lot of Knick talk in this NBA wrap-up, and I'll save that for later. Honorable mentions, the Wizards at the end of the year really picked it up. Westbrook we got to give Russell Westbrook his due with everything he does every year. It's averaged another triple-double. That's insane. And then another honorable mention would be the Nets and Lakers, but with LeBron and AD being out for a bit and them being bad even once they got back, it was weird. The Nets hardly ever play all together throughout the year. And, there's one more that was not on here that could have been. I thought about the Hawks because I really liked what Nate McMillan did and turned them around, but they didn't make the cut. So, yeah, that's the most watchables for the entire season. Now we're going to move over to the Sort of Sports Awards. So this is just my awards. If I had my own award show, this is what I give out. So my favorite team of the season is the Knicks. And that's because this entire franchise, in my eyes, was turned around in 1 year through a player you never expect, through a coach you really wouldn't expect. And they blew me away in the beginning of the year, and I was like, this is fun. Didn't really think much of it. And then as the year went on, the more and more I was like, oh, crap, they're going to hold on to this. They're going to be a legit good team. And so that really just blew me away, and they just shattered all my expectations, and I think it's really cool. So I have to give props to everybody in that organization. They were definitely my favorite team, and they were just, look at the Knicks stuff. They were the best against the spread when it comes to betting. They were upset city all the time. They got the 4th seed in the East. And last year in the draft, about a year ago, we were talking about them maybe winning the lottery and getting LaMelo Ball. So, weird things happen. And Emmanuel Quickley, R.J. Barrett, Julius Randle, that entire team, just props to everybody in the organization. And I hope the Knicks, within the next couple of years, are championship holders. I hope they hold the titles because I would say they're borderline contenders right now. Talk about that more later. But yeah, my favorite team by far this year. Obviously, my favorite team is the Cavs, and my favorite player is Giannis. But I'm saying for this year, who my favorite was to watch and stuff, Knicks were just great. Who changed my mind? This award is going to go to Zach LaVine. Never a huge Zach LaVine guy. When I said my all-star team, I didn't even put him on there. But then, his first couple of years with the Bulls, he averaged 25. Then he had 23.7. Before that, with the Bulls, he had 16.7. Not the biggest on him. If you want to add all those up, that's 23.3 points over those first 3 years of the Bulls. Only shooting with on his effective field goal percentage is a .512, so it's pretty good. But then this year, he just really stepped it up for me. His effective field goal percentage went up to .596. He's scoring 27 points a game, only 3.5 turnovers. I'm not a huge turnover guy anyway, but I'm saying still 5 assists, which is the most he's ever averaged. It's 4.9, but it's basically 5, so I'm saying he's never averaged more than 4.5. So yeah, he just really impressed me this year. I'm sad he got injured for a bit there, but second most minutes he's played in his career. And yeah, he's just been a really efficient scorer, and he proved to me that he's a legit stud. And so I just got to give the man props for that. The team that changed my mind throughout the year was the Hawks. I was not high on them at all. And, they completely turned it around. They're the 5th seed facing up against the Knicks, and I think it's going to be a legit close series to a point. So, yeah, the Hawks, props to you, Nate McMillan. Good job. He got that team rolling. Then when it comes to the rookie that shocked me, that'd be Saddiq Bey. And I did not expect this at all, and I don't think really anyone did from Saddiq Bey. He was great for the Pistons. 12.2 points. His efficiency field goals, .530. He only averaged .2 blocks, which is a little weird when you think about the fact that he's 6'7". You'd think he'd be able to get a little higher, but it's whatever. Minutes played, he was playing 27 minutes on average. So he started 53 games out of the 70 he played all but 2 games. And free throw percentage, 8.44, that's high. Rebounds, he was averaging 4.5. He was just really solid for them. It's not like he was all-star or anything, but I'm saying he was really solid. So I got to give him credit where credit is due. Did not expect that from Saddiq Bey. I still do believe in Killian Hayes. That's my rookie I still believe in. Did not have the strongest year, I will admit, because he was injured a lot of it. But he did have one game where I want to say he had 12 assists or something crazy. It might have just been 8. But he had a high amount of assists, and people were like, hey, look at this, Killian Hayes. So I know there's a lot of other Killian Hayes stock buyers other than me. This year they only put up 6.8 points with efficiency field goal of .403, and his assists were 5.3. So that was nice. I was about to say, I knew he had a good amount of assists. So nothing crazy, but I still think he has a lot of potential to be a really good player for the Pistons, especially if they get a Jalen Suggs or Evan Mobley, somebody to pair him with. All right, so my team that I want to watch next year, I'm saying keep an eye, I think they're going to become a contender, is the Hornets. I think they're going to get that move and get a Miles Turner level player or just straight up Miles Turner, and that will push them into legitimate watch out for us. They're a very young team, but they very much excite me. I almost made this team the Hawks, but I'm not completely sold yet. Like, just on if they can keep this up. I'm assuming they're going to re-sign Nate McMillan to a legit contract, but I don't want to, put the cart before the horse. So I'm gonna go with the Hornets to watch next year, partially because I'm in love with that team. Team's great. Favorite player for the year was Julius Randle. I think it's probably pretty obvious. Favorite team, favorite player, the same guy. Julius Randle, just incredible this year. Let me read you his stats from every year before this year, because that makes it all the better. So his first 6 seasons. His first 6 seasons in the NBA, he averaged 16.1 points with half a block, 3 assists, 9 rebounds, with 5'11" efficiency field goal. So that's pretty good. Then this year, he just decided he was going to be absolutely amazing. And I don't understand what happened. I mean, this entire thing, it's like nothing I've ever seen. I've never seen a player go from being pretty good with some scoring capabilities to just being incredible. 24.1 points. Still only 0.3 blocks, but he had 6 assists, which is double his career high, basically. Almost 1 steal. Total rebounds went up to 10.2. His efficiency field goal is a 5.16, which is slightly lower, actually, than 1 year of the Lakers. But keep in mind, he was attempting 11 shots per game then, and now he attempts 18.6. So that's way more. He also is playing the most minutes in his entire career, 37.6. And that year I just mentioned, where he had a higher efficiency field goal in 2018 with the Lakers, he only played 26 minutes. So, I mean, what else do you want? He was absolutely amazing this year. He was in MVP talks. There was that period in March, I want to say, where he was averaging like 30 points. He just completely turned his career around. I made the joke to a friend. I can't decide I think I heard this somewhere and I repeated the joke. And that is, Julius Randle is actually what we all thought Zion would be. And I think Zion was actually amazing this year. Like, truly, Zion was great. Zion Williamson this year, like, do not fall asleep on Zion just because LaMelo Ball is the guy who's getting all the hype now. Zion was truly great this year. But, oh my gosh, was just Julius Randle. I mean, that's what we all thought Zion's numbers were going to look like on a winning team. So Zion's putting up great numbers on a not the best team, whereas Julius Randle's on the Knicks. It's like, I don't know. Are there other players out there like Julius Randle who we all think of solid that have all-star talent? So Julius Randle, I don't even know what happened to you, buddy. This is like the coolest story in a while from the NBA, and he's great. So I'm really happy with Julius Randle. Definitely my favorite player of the year, and blown away by him. So those were the Sort of Sports Podcast awards. We're going to move over to my NBA awards predictions / my ones, because there's a couple on here. I'm not sure if I'll actually go through, but I personally believe these are the right moves. So that's my opinion. So here we go. All-NBA third team. I want to put Russell Westbrook on here really bad, but I have to be kind of realistic. So first off, we're going to have LeBron James, 25 points per game with almost 8 assists and then almost 8 rebounds. So, yeah, efficiency field goal, if we're going to keep going back to that. For those of you who don't know, that means that a 3-point field goal is worth 1 more point than a 2-point field goal. So it just kind of puts that more into perspective. It's better for guys who shoot more threes. 576, which is high. And so, yeah, he had a really good year. Don't know what else to say. The really thing that hurts him is that the injury. And, yeah, the fact that his team's a 7 seed kind of hurts him, because they always say it doesn't matter, but we all know it does. I want to put Russell Westbrook on here, but I probably shouldn't. So the next one is going to be Paul George. The Clippers really impressed me this year. Paul George, 23.3 points, 5 assists, 6.6 rebounds. His efficiency field goal, 5.57. So real impressive from him. He only played 54 games, though, and I do think that pushes him to third team. Really good numbers from Paul George. What do you expect? He's Paul George. Next one, we already talked about Zion Williamson, and he is on here for obvious reasons. He was wowzers. He was going off this year. He basically took the idea that he didn't get to play a lot last year and made sure he made the most out of this. He only missed 11 games. He played 61. 27 points per game with almost 1 steal, 0.9 steal. 3.7 assists, 7.2 rebounds. His free throw percentage was .698, which is significantly higher than it was last year at .640. His efficiency field goal was .616, and his just regular field goal percentage was .611. So he was incredibly efficient. He was great. I really wish his win shares were 10.6, which I find pretty interesting. And really impressed from Zion Williamson. I really wish the Pelicans had a better thing going for them. Maybe they're going to develop something better, but at the moment, yeah, so, I mean, I just wish they had a better team. Zion needs to be on a big team, and that's why a lot of the attention is going to LaMelo Ball right now, because he is not on a winning team, and people want to see that. And so LaMelo Ball is on a winning team, a winning franchise. It's got other good young guys developing. So I don't know what the Pelicans got to do. Don't know if it's a coaching thing. Don't know if it's a player thing. But they got to get in contention because Zion's really good. And if they don't, you might have another Anthony Davis on your hands, and that would really hurt, where he's just going to leave you. All right, so fourth player on my All-NBA third team is Benny Simmons. He also, I forgot to put him, he completely changed my mind about him. I've never liked Ben Simmons, never been a big Ben Simmons guy, but then this year he realized that he could just be a defensive god. So he was incredible for defense this year. I watched him guard LeBron James, I watched him guard Damian Lillard, and then I watched him guard Giannis. So he can guard anybody, big boys, little boys, I don't know if they're little boys, but I mean smaller guys compared to the huge guys, and he was great. Absolutely great. So I don't really know what else to say about him other than the fact that it's a lot of watching the game more than the stats, because the stats read off as 14.3 points, which is the lowest in his career, with his lowest turnovers per game ever, though, at 3, actually, sorry. 0.6 blocks, okay. 1.6 steals, that's not that high when you look at it. 6.9 assists. But then you look at his rebounds, 7.2, which is actually the lowest of his career. And you're looking at everything, and you're like, well, Ben Simmons isn't really doing much. And then you realize that if you watch him, he guards consistently every team's best player, and they don't score as much. I wish I could find – I don't know if I could find the stat. It's probably really hard to figure out where it's all-star players against Ben Simmons, because I guarantee their stats go down. He's incredible at locking guys up, but he's not a stat getter. So that's why he's got to be third team, because he doesn't get the stats. But I'm telling you guys, he's amazing. All right, so the other guys, Rudy Gobert, most people's DPOY. What do I have to say that hasn't been said about Rudy Gobert? He's consistently the Defense Player of the Year front runner, and there's not even there's some voter fatigue with him, but really not that much. People know that he's legit. So his 2021 stats were 14.3 points with almost 3 blocks at 2.7. Steals is 0.6, 1.3 assists, 13.5 rebounds. Yikes. His field goal percentage was .675. His efficiency field goal percentage was also .675. Like, he's always got the good stats. He's Rudy Gobert. I don't even know what else to say about him. He's really good. Really good, really good. So the Jazz definitely got themselves a great player in him. All right, so now let's move on to the All-NBA second team. And some people have this guy as MVP. I feel like you can't. Chris Paul. Chris Paul is amazing. The Suns team is... I feel like the Knicks and the Suns are everybody's favorite team this year. Like, everybody likes them. And kind of some... And the Hornets, too. But really the Suns and the Knicks. So, Chris Paul had a great year. Free throw percentage, he led the league of .934. 16.4 points with 1.4 steals 8.9 assists, 4.5 rebounds. It's pretty solid. I mean, we got to think about this. Chris Paul is right now 36. So that's, wow. The stats he's putting up on a great team, it's really impressive. Great move by Phoenix going out and getting him. Oh, his efficiency field goal was 557, by the way. So, yeah, Chris Paul, don't even know what else to say. He was great this year. And, yeah, I mean, that's really all I got to say. He was great. Absolutely great. This just proves that the Chris Paul, I really like this part of his career where it's just the Chris Paul going to young teams and running them. I think that's great. And I think the Suns are probably going to keep him for next year. But, you know, he is going to be a free agent. So we'll have to see what happens. But I'm assuming, depending on how the playoffs go, he'll re-sign. If not, I hope he goes to another young team. I feel like that'd be interesting. I don't want him to go to the Lakers. Please do not go to the Lakers. Next up on the All-NBA second team is Damian Lillard. Lillard, there's a really good argument for him to be first team. But I got to go second team with him. 28.8 points, though, with 7.5 assists. Wow. His efficiency field goal was 554. Yeah. Wow. His three-point percentage, for those who wondered, was 391. So that was... Yeah, he's great. Damian Lillard, I think everybody knows he's great. He's the entire Blazers franchise. I'm not... No disrespect to CJ and them. I'm saying he's the face of it. He runs the show. He's Dame time. He's great. So, best player in the NBA at clutch time, I think in my opinion and statistically, he's great. So, Damian Lillard, I love to put him first team, but there's other guys that I think got to go higher. So, that is why. Plus, wink, wink, the Mavericks do have a better record, so that also helps Luka. All right, Kawhi Leonard is also a second teamer. And you'll see why in a bit, why he's second team. But he was great this year. 24.8 points, 1.6 steals, 5.2 assists, 6.5 rebounds, efficiency field goal of 568. Not blow you away stats, just incredibly consistent stats. He was great this year. In no shape or form is he like a top 3 MVP candidate. But he was great. And he's a big reason the Clippers got the 4th best record in the West. He was great. So, yeah, I don't really know what else to say about him other than that. He was just great. Just quietly great because he's Kawhi. That's pretty much his whole thing. Next up for my second team is Jimmy Buckets. Jimmy Butler's got to be it. I think there's been a lot of traction with him being an All-NBA the last couple weeks. People started talking about it like, hey, are you looking at this? He's leading the NBA in steals. He's averaging 21.5 points on a team with the 6th best record. He's currently shooting 497 from the field, and if it's efficiency field goal, he's 514. He's only attempting 14.2 shots, and I don't want to say only with that. That's a good amount of shots. But I'm saying he's not the team's leading scorer, but he's just doing so well defensively. Another one of those guys you got to watch. So Jimmy Butler's been great this year, and I'm kind of scared when the Bucks play them in the playoffs. Last one is Julius Randle. He's got to be a second teamer. I'd like to put him first, but I can't put Embiid or Jokic second team. I have to put them both first. So Julius Randle played all but one game this year. 24. I already read you off his stats, but I mean, 24.1 points, best of his career. So efficient. He was great. So, Julius Randle, thank you so much for being great this year. I can't wait to watch you again next year. All right, so next up, first team All-NBA. First guy on the team, Steph Curry. Second best candidate for MVP. It would be Embiid, but those injury games really hurt him. 32 points. Wow. 5.8 assists, 1.2 steals. Free throw percentage was a 916. That's pretty crazy. Played all but 9 games, 34 minutes a game. His effective field goal percentage was a 605, which is nutty. To put that into perspective, his MVP season, it was 630. with 30.1 points, which is slightly less points. So he had numbers that are close to his 2016 numbers. Not the same because he's not going 73-9. I do think obviously that affects it. But wow. He had a crazy year. And he's great. Best point guard in the NBA, obviously, and best three-point shooter of all time. He's amazing. So props to Curry, but it really hurts his MVP case, the fact that he didn't make the playoffs. I think that's true. So next up is Luka Doncic. We're not talking about MVP right now, though. We're talking about first team. Next up for the first team is Luka Doncic. 27.7 points, 0.5 blocks, 1 steal, 8.6 assists, 8 rebounds on 34 minutes, and his effective field goal percentage was a .550. Pretty much similar stats to last year, and he's great. He's Luka Doncic. A lot of people had him pegged to be MVP this year. I think Jokic had some traction too. It was like the front runner, the people that people thought it was going to be was like Jokic, Doncic, Curry were like the big two, and LeBron. Those were like the big three, and then kind of Jokic had some, Kawhi had a little bit of talk, and then there was a bit of Embiid at the beginning, like maybe the Sixers do well. But there wasn't much other than that. Obviously, there was no Julius Randle MVP talk at the beginning of the year. So, yeah, that was great numbers from Luka. Pretty simple, but really good numbers. Next up is my favorite basketball player ever, Giannis Antetokounmpo. And, wow, he was great again this year. 28.1 points per game with 1.2 blocks, which is actually higher than last year, with 5.9 assists, which is also higher than last year, his MVP year. 11 rebounds per game, which is 2.6 less than last year. His free throw percentage was a .685, which is higher than last year, but he also attempted 0.5 less free throws a game. His effective field goal percentage was the highest of his entire career at .600. Wow. He only attempted 3.6 three-pointers a game, though, which is lower than last year. Last year was his highest at 4.7. I'm comparing him a lot to last year because last year he was the MVP for the second year in a row. Field goals attempted was 18, which is lower than last year and also lower than 2018. So that's interesting. Minutes played per game was 33, which is his not the highest. His highest is 36.7 back in 2018, which makes sense. He's going to play actually some of his lowest minutes of his entire career, other than his rookie season, is his season last year because the team was doing so well that he'd be able to sit out more. So that's interesting. What are you going to say about Giannis? Hasn't already said. This year's numbers are close to his numbers last year, which is incredible. And, he's not going to win MVP, though, because you're not going to three-peat as MVP unless the Bucks did something crazy and lost 8 games or 10 games or something. And that's not what happened. So Giannis was great this year. And I don't even know what else to say. He was just one of the best players in the NBA. No questions asked. Next up, we're going to go to Joel Embiid, the man that I still say you got to compare his stats to MVP Shaq, and they're actually, to be honest, they're really similar. But I'm gonna just look at his regular stats because he did only end up playing 51 games that I think took him out of MVP talks. 28.5 points per game with 1.4 blocks, 2.8 assists, 10.6 rebounds. His effective field goal was .545. Yeah, he was great. Embiid for the longest time was my MVP till he got hurt, and he was out, and and I was like, all right, it's got to be Jokic now. Because Jokic, we just got to move on to Jokic, because we all know I love Joel Embiid, one of my favorite players in the NBA, but Jokic is the guy. Jokic was the guy this year. Absolutely the man. 26.4 points, lower than Embiid's, but 0.7 blocks, also lower than Embiid's. We're not at Jokic stats, though. We're not there yet. 1.3 steals, 8.3 assists, 10.8 rebounds, Effective field goal, 602. Shooting, field goals attempted per game, 18. Most he's ever shot in his career by far. Only one that comes close is 15. So, wow, he played every game the whole year, 34 minutes on average. He was incredible. Incredible. The whole year, never stopped being great. So, Jokic, played 72 games, great every game. Jokic was the guy this year. So, that is my entire All-NBA teams. Apologies to Russell Westbrook. You were great, buddy. And now let's move on to the NBA awards. Most improved, Julius Randle. I don't think I have to really talk about this at all. I've already talked about him so much. It's becoming not even funny. I should probably just buy a Randle shirt. He's the only reason I would ever buy anything that's Knicks. It's not that I hate the Knicks. I'm just saying, why would I ever buy anything Knicks? Well, I do love Julius Randle. So, thank you, Julius Randle. I love you. You're great. Coach of the Year, Tom Thibodeau. He was... Wow. Tom Thibodeau. First of all, just from a non-stat perspective, he was great. His team was, turned that entire franchise around. He had the most improved player, which always looks good from a coaching perspective. But, Tom Thibodeau, I never would have thought I'd be talking about how great he was. I think Monty Williams is a great case. If it goes to Monty Williams, I'm completely fine with that. The Suns were great too. With the Knicks, though, he was just great. Absolutely great. Absolutely great. So, yeah, they lead the NBA in a bunch of different stats. I can't pull them up right now, though. But if you look up Tom Thibodeau, I think it's on the Knicks Instagram or something. I saw it on Bleacher Report. It was some stats. They lead the NBA in so many stats. It's insane. So, Tom Thibodeau, thank you. You've been great this year, and you've proved to me that your really good year with the Bulls in 2011 wasn't a fluke. You're legit that good. So, this is actually the most what was I trying to say? Oh, yeah. It's the most shocking Tom Thibodeau team I think I've ever seen. It was crazy. So, yeah. Thank you, Tom Thibodeau. You were great. And, yeah, let's move on. Sixth man of the year, got to be Jordan Clarkson. It really helps to be a sixth man of the year when you're on a team with a great record. And Jordan Clarkson was great all year. I think it was really clear that he was going to be sixth man of the year months ago. But we can just run through his stats quick. 18.4 points, highest of his career. His blocks were 0.1, which obviously he's not going to have a lot of blocks. 0.9 steals, but, 2.5 assists. Total rebounds, 4. Free throw percentage, 896. Effective field goal, 5.22. Field goals attempted was his highest of his career at 15.8, basically 16. He was just a scorer. I've never understood what the love with Jordan Clarkson was till this year. They're right. He is a great scorer. He's the guy you just put in. He's going to get buckets for you. Simple. So, at an effective rate, he's great. So, props to Jordan Clarkson for being an incredible scorer. DPOY, it's Ben Simmons. I'm telling you, it's Ben Simmons. If you watch the game, he's not a huge stat guy, but if you watch the games, he's locking everybody up. It's got to be Ben Simmons. He was so versatile. My friend and I were talking. He said the case for Gobert is if you put him on a big guy, he's the best guy on that guy, like a Giannis or an Embiid. But Ben Simmons can guard literally anyone at a great level. So Ben Simmons can guard everyone at an 8 out of 10, whereas Gobert can guard any big guy at a 10 out of 10. So Gobert can't guard LeBron as well as Simmons, but Simmons can't. So you understand what I'm saying. Rookie of the Year, feel like this is obvious. The only reason it's not is just because LaMelo missed some games, but it's got to be Melo Ball, right? Also, LaMelo Ball's shoe is going to be coming out, the rumor is, over the summer. I'm borderline 100% sure Puma is going to become a huge brand off of this. Obviously, Puma is a big brand because they have their own stores and stuff, but I'm saying it's going to become even bigger now because of him. He's a big old deal. 15.7 points with 6.1 assists. His field goals attempted was 13.2 with his effective field goal percentage being 504. He was great. It's exactly what everybody wanted him to be. if not more. He completely turned the Hornets around on and off the court. You just hear good things about him. And, yeah, props to LaMelo Ball for, some people didn't think he was going to be the best. I wasn't sure, I felt like he was going to be either boom or bust. Turns out he was a big boom. And those Hornets jerseys, wow, those are sweet. MVP Nikola Jokic. We already ran through those stats. I feel like it's really clear. He played every game. It's incredible. And he was super efficient. So I feel like you got to give it to Nikola Jokic. That team also, losing Jamal Murray, also added the narrative. To be an MVP, you got to have great stats, great record, and a great narrative. And that narrative of Jamal Murray going out really helps him and makes him look even better. So props to Nikola Jokic. He's got to be MVP. Just to wrap up on the season, I think it was King of the Fourth Quarter or Rusty Buckets. Might have been a Funky Diabetic that made a video saying that this NBA season has a chance to be the best ever. Just all the stuff that was happening. And like how there's not like one or two super teams. And I was worried I was going to get hurt by the Nets, and it wasn't. And I agree. Like, this playoff is so unpredictable. I feel like some of the teams I'm having lose early could win the whole finals. It's crazy. This NBA season has been great. And last year we all talked about how great it was last year, and I think this year is even better from a competitive perspective. I loved how competitive everything was, and I've just been blown away by the NBA this year. So thank you, NBA, for some great basketball, and I can't wait for the playoffs because I feel like they're going to be an amazing playoffs. All right, here we go. Starting off in the West, we got the number 1 Jazz versus number 8 Grizzlies. I want to preface, I was going to do one before the play-in tournament, but I ended up not having time as I talked with, we didn't even make an episode of The Big Salad this week. So I'm sorry I didn't get a chance to do that. But I am going to do my playoff predictions, obviously, because I do start today. All right. Number 1 Jazz versus number 8 Grizzlies. I got to take the Jazz in 5. Only reason I don't go 4 is because I feel like Ja Morant can get some big buckets and get them there. Nothing against the Grizzlies. I just don't think they're there yet. And the Jazz are really good this year. Number 2 Suns against the number 7 Lakers. This is a toss-up for me. Really can't decide this. But I'm going to go Lakers in 7 because I hate the Lakers, and I feel like they're going to do well because I hate them, and I don't want to see them do well, which means they'll do well. So, I would love to see the Suns win, but we'll see what happens. I just get a feeling LeBron's going to go off and make sure they get to at least the second round. And all the media will push the narrative of, like, potentially LeBron's last ring, and how hard he is to work to get there, and I think that's a really cool narrative. But also, like, I don't want him to win the finals. All right, number 3 Nuggets against the number 6 Blazers. I'm taking the Blazers in 6. I can see this either way, but since Jamal Murray's probably not going to be back, you got to go with the Blazers. Big Dame time. I'm taking this one, Blazers in 6. I can really see it both ways, but I got to go Blazers here. Number 4 Clippers versus number 5 Mavs. Clippers in 6. The only reason it's not 5 is because Luka Doncic is there, and he will extend that series. All right, so now we're moving over to the Eastern Conference semis. We got the Jazz, Clippers. I'm taking Clippers in 7. Another one. I want to put the Jazz farther, but I think this Clippers team's got it going on right now. I really, really do. I think they've got it. Adding Rajon Rondo, I do think helps them legitimately. So I actually really think the Clippers got it going on right now. Really into what they're doing. Number 7 Lakers versus number 6 Blazers. Taking the Lakers in 6. Blazers are not a good matchup I guess the Lakers aren't a good matchup for the Blazers, is what I should say. I feel like they, end up working better against the Blazers. The Lakers can definitely take advantage of the Blazers. Then we get Clippers-Lakers. I'm taking Clippers in 7 for the Western Conference Finals. This could completely be a Jazz-Suns or a Jazz-Lakers or a Suns-Clippers. But I got to go Clippers here over Lakers. I just think that's what's going to happen. And I'm taking the Clippers in 7. Next up, going over the East. The Clippers now in the finals. Sixers-Wizards. Sixers in 6. The only reason it's not 5 or 4 is just because we got the whole the Wizards have been rolling right now. I really like what they're doing. And I feel like Bradley Beal and Russell Westbrook get some big buckets and try to extend the series. 2 Nets versus 7 Celtics. Nets in 5. I might even go sweep here, but I feel like Jason Tatum can extend it. I don't think there's going to be a sweep this whole playoffs just because there's a lot of teams that got guys who can extend. Number 3 Bucks versus number 6 Heat. I'm scared of this series. It's the 1 o'clock game today. Very scared, but I got to go Bucks in 6. I think the Heat are not the same as they were last year. Jimmy Butler's great. Bam Adebayo's even better, but I don't think everybody else is clicking like they were last year. It's not the bubble. The Bucks are still an incredible team, so got to go Bucks. Knicks, Hawks. I've seen some Hawks talk here, but I got to go Knicks in 5. This might be the sweep series for me. The only reason I didn't go sweep is because I do like what the Hawks have been doing lately with the Nate McMillan and all that. So I'll take the Knicks in 5. Go Julius Randle. Go the whole Knicks team. I love you guys. Sixers, Knicks. I want to go the Knicks so bad. Like, so badly. But this Sixers team has blown me away all year from a defensive standpoint, Ben Simmons, from an offensive standpoint, Joel Embiid. It's got to be Sixers in 6. So, next, Nets, Bucks. I'm going Bucks in 7. I don't think this Nets team is going to be able to hold up defensively against Giannis. So, I mean, DeAndre Jordan or Nicholas Claxton is going to have to guard him probably. Maybe KD, and maybe KD can guard him to that level. But I don't think they have the defense to hold up against that. Drew Holiday's also playing defense against. They have good matchups. Drew Holiday can guard Harden or Kyrie. Giannis can guard Durant the whole game. I could have one of the Lopez's sitting down in the paint on DeAndre Jordan, Nicholas Claxton, or Blake Griffin. And the other thing is, the Nets have kind of been relying on Blake Griffin for some scoring, and I don't think it's going to be the best once you get into the playoffs. So the Nets are not a team that I would bet on for the finals. The Nets and the Lakers, I feel like, even though they look like on paper the favorites, you look at everything and you're like, oh, no. So, yeah, definitely not that. I'm taking Bucks in 7. Sixers, Bucks. Oh, man. I think this. If everything really falls away, I think it will, and I'm not really sure it's going to. This is a really unpredictable playoffs. I mean, the Nets could win the whole freaking thing, but this is tough. I think the winner's coming out of the series. Whoever wins this Bucks Sixers Eastern Conference Finals is the NBA champion. I'm going to take Sixers in 7 because Ben Simmons can guard Giannis, I think, really effectively. And Joel Embiid, I think he's peed off eating at the MVP because he knows he can't because he missed so many games. But in that case, he knows that he can, win the finals. And I think that's the whole narrative is that, I didn't win MVP and I was injured, but now I'm healthy for the playoffs and I want to win the finals. I saw that quote to that. That's paraphrasing from an ESPN article I was reading about him, where he was like, I might have been injured for a bit further in the season and lost MVP, but I'm going to be healthy for the playoffs, I feel like now. And so, taking the Sixers in 7. Sixers, Clippers, NBA Finals. Taking the Sixers. I think they got it going on. Sixers in 7. It's a beautiful story because it's Clippers, Sixers, Doc Rivers versus his old team, Kawhi versus the team that he, made the shot over. It all fits. It's great. Hope it happens. Yeah. Sixers in 7. Joel Embiid wins Finals MVP. Ben Simmons proves everybody why he was DPOY by guarding Kawhi Leonard or Paul George. I think they got it going on, and plus, they got the best guy, Shake Milton. That's not a joke. I'm dead serious. Shake Milton is great. Just to pull up last stats of the episode. Shake Milton's stats for the year. Oh, man. Here we go. Played 63 games. Only started 4, which, dumb. 23 minutes per game. 13 points. 0.3 blocks. 0.6 steals. 3.1 assists, 2.3 rebounds. His effective field goal is .503. His field goal percentage is .450. Attempts 10 shots per game. He's great. Great. 2.8 win shares. He's great. Protein Shake Milton. Shake Milton. Thank you, Shake Milton. So, yeah, those are all my NBA playoff predictions / season wrap-up. Hope you enjoyed. Go Bucks. Go Sixers. And to be honest, go Knicks. Big East Conference Finals guy. And, yeah. Hope you enjoy the playoffs.